In the previous lecture, we have studied object recognition and knowledge representation. In this lecture, we'll study about the classification and the types of learning. Image classification is assigning the pixels in the image to categories or the classes of interest. Now in the given example, given image, if we took a photograph from the satellite, we are getting this kind of image in which we are getting different areas like build-up areas, water bodies, green vegetation, rocky area, cloudy area, shadowing, etc. So these are different classes are there, or these are different categories are there. In order to classify a set of data into different classes or categories, the relationship, the data and the classes into which they are classified must be well understood. To achieve this by a machine or a computer, the computer must be trained. The training is key to the success of classification. Classification techniques were originally developed out of research in pattern recognition field. There are various applications of this we are using day-to-day life, like video surveillance, social media services, in medical field, in face recognition, in email spam and malware filtering, in online customer support, in online fraud detection, and many more. There are a number of ways where machine learning has been providing its potential. In learning, two parameters are very important. First is performance measure and second is experience. If we compare the performance before experience and after experience, the performance should increase with the experience. Suppose if I'll take an example of a doctor performance can measure on diagnosing an illness of a patient accurately. As he having more experience, the performance of diagnosing the illness is increases. This kind of a learning is known as inductive learning. Now, there are different types of learning methods. First is supervised learning, second is unsupervised learning, and third is reinforcement learning. Let us see one by one. The supervised learning. If we'll take an example for a question, if question is asked and answer is true or false, or if person is there and if I want to recognize the person is a male or female, so the output is categorical. So in supervised learning, the mapping is input to output, that is come under classification. Other type of supervised learning is regression. That means in this supervised learning, we know that there are either 2 classes, 3 classes or 4 classes are there, but these are fixed classes. We know the output that he is belong to this class, he is belong to this class. So this is called as supervised learning. Other type of supervised learning is regression, in which the output is continuous. Now if we'll take the example, suppose if I want to find out what is the tomorrow temperature or how much will be rainfall tomorrow will be. So the output is continuous, so it is not discrete one. So it is called as regression type problem. We'll see in detail later on. Now, second category is unsupervised learning. There is no decision or mapping in this. We are more interested to find the pattern in the data. Suppose if we'll take the example, the students who are taking the admission to the class, and if I want to categorize that student into different category, like whether the student is a fast learner, slow learner, or medium learner. Or suppose if I'll take another example, suppose there are so many fruits in the basket, and if I want to categorize this fruits, then one can do depend on the color of the fruit, one can do depend on the size of the fruit. So here the output classes are undefined, that's why it is called as a unsupervised learning. So it's a clustering task. In this, we are interested to find out cohesive group among. Now another type in unsupervised learning is association. Association is a frequent co-occurrence. Now if we'll take an example, if A comes to my shop and B also comes to my shop, so that kind also of occurrence. This kind of problems comes under association. And third type of learning is reinforcement learning. This is not supervised learning, this is not unsupervised learning. So it controls the learning behavior in the nature. Now these three types of learning we have seen. Now as I have told you, the learning is depend on the performance measure, but the performance measure for each type of learning is different. Now here the tasks are given and the performance measures are given. Like for classification, the performance measure is error. Now in classification, error is the performance measure. If I give an answer, as we have seen one example, if I am asking a question and the answer is either true or a false. But suppose the answer I know previously that the answer is a true, but if I by using my model I am getting a false answer, that means there is an error, and this is called as performance measure or error in the supervised learning or the in classification. In regression, if I say tomorrow the temperature will be 25 degrees Celsius, but in actually, suppose if I am getting a maximum temperature as a 30 degrees Celsius, so there is an error of 5 degrees Celsius. So this is error or error occur in regression type of learning. In a clustering, the performance measure is a tricky. Mostly it is derived basis on how the points spread out in the cluster. That is called as a scatter or purity. We'll see in the detail when we'll see what is unsupervised learning. Now in reinforcement, it's a learning to control cost for system. We would like to minimize the cost for more performance. We'll see in detail one by one learning. The first one is supervised learning. Now, here one example is given. I have a database of 14% with the two attributes, and these two attributes is one is a weight and another one is height of the person, and my goal is to predict a person is male or a female. Now here circular points or the data points are circular data points are expressed as a female and the cross one expressed as a male. Now I want to classify this set of data into two classes. Now what is the way to classify this complete data into two classes? So by simply, yes, I can draw a vertical line which is parallel to height on the x1, right? But when I'll do this, the three male are considered as female and one female is considered as male. So what we can say that these three male considered as a female is nothing but what? Error of my classification. And one female is considered as male. So it is what? The error of my classification. But yes, I can draw this straight line through this x1 and I can classify this data. So this is what the first uh, method or first case through which I can classify the data. Here uh, the data or the data points which belongs to left side of the x1 are considered as a female and the right side of the x1 are considered as male. Now can we do better than this? Can we draw a line better than this to get a minimum error? Yes, I can do that. Yes, like this. Now if we compare this first case and the second case, in first case 4 points are wrongly classified. Now here 3 points are wrongly classified. 2 male here considered as a female and 1 female is considered as male. But this second case is better than this first case, right? But the error is reduced, but the complexity is increases. As we have seen in the first case, the equation or a function was very simple. What was the function? If it is less than or before left side of x1 are female, right side of the x1 are male. But here we need to define the 2 points. One is a x1, y1 and third one is what? The slope of the line. Now can we do better than this second one to minimize the error? Yes, we can do. If I draw this kind of a curve, now again error is reduced. In the previous one, 3 points are wrongly classified, whereas in third case, only 2 points are wrongly classified. One male is considered as a female and one female is considered as male. But now again here the curve is there. In a previous case there was a line, slanting line. But here curve is there, so again the function is complicated. Here the equation will be quadratic, or we can say the function is defined using 3 parameters like a, b and c. Now can we do more better than this? Yes, we can do in this way. Here what is the error? There is no error because almost all points are classified correctly. To get 1 point inside, we have to define the function for this curve, but this is so complex. But to create the function, more number of parameters required. In the previous case, we required 3 parameters, but now here we require more number of parameters. Now we can say that to just for 1 point, we have changed this curve to third curve to fourth curve. Now another possibility is that it may be a error. Yes, it may be a error because the neighboring points are cross point of that circle. So it may be a error, but that is a possibility only. So we can stick only the third function and it is appropriate. So we concluded here as the complexity increases, the accuracy is increases. And if it is noise, then it's necessary to verify the data again. Suppose this assumption we have made based on 100%. But after finding this, suppose we have taken the data of 100% weight and height and we have set the data points, and for 101 person, if I want to check whether he is a male or female, so depending on this function we can find out whether he is belongs to male, whether that person is belongs to male or a female. So the 100 points data we have created is nothing but what? The training data, and for the next person we are checking, that is nothing but testing data. And the function which we are using, it is called as inductive bias. Now let us see the flow of the system for classification. Training set is there where x1 is the input and y1 is the output for first data point. For second data point, x2 is the input, y2 is the output, and so on. So it is depend on, training set is depend on the number of data points which are available. X is input, y is output. But here our input is two inputs we have. One is weight and second one is height. And the outputs are again, or output is nothing but what? The classes. How many classes are there? Two classes. So y will be two classes. One is a female and another one is male. Now let us take an example, a one person first data point in which the weight is a 50 and the height is 5 feet. Then that output is female. Similarly for x2, weight is 100 and 100 kgs and the height is 6 feet, and that output is y2, that is male. Now let us normalize this data. Now how to normalize this data? Now suppose if I am getting in my data, total data set, 100 data set, what is the maximum weight we are getting? Just divide with that maximum weight to each weight point. So what I am getting, the maximum point as a 1 and the minimum point as a 0. So my data, similarly you have to do for the height. Suppose the person with the 100 data set, if I am getting 6.5 feet height is maximum height, then just divide that 6.5 feet to each data point to normalize the data. So again I am getting 0 as a minimum value and 1 as a maximum value. Similarly, depending on the output, number of output, here the two outputs are there, so I can define the limit for the output as a -1 to +1, and for the input I have set the limit to 0 to 1. That's why after normalization I am getting the x1 data as a 0.5, 0.3 and the y1 is -1, and x2 is 0.7, 0.4 and the y2 is +1. So this is about training set. Now this training data we have to give to training algorithm. Now this is our complete system. The input training data is given to the training algorithm, and the testing set is similarly defined as x1 dash y1 dash. Similarly x1 dash is the input testing data, y1 dash is the output testing data point. Similarly x2 dash, y2 dash, up to so on. It is depend on number of training data you have. Now what we have to do, we have to verify the accuracy or the efficiency of our system. So what we are doing, this testing data is given to the validation and it will verify with the training algorithm, and it is the output of training algorithm goes to classifier, and it will classify whether that testing data is belong to male category or female category. And after validation we are getting exact output from the system, either he is a male or a female. Suppose if all the output is already defined as a y1 dash and a y2 dash. Suppose y1 dash is a male, and again after validation I am getting male, that means our system is correctly working. Now suppose if y1 dash is a male and I am getting after validation it's a female, that means there is an error in the system. Now what happened actually in the training algorithm? Here is the block diagram for training algorithm. What is inside that training algorithm? Here the input x is applied to the agent, and if I am getting wrong output, then again it is target out y is already given, that means the target output is suppose male and you are getting female, then again it is nothing but consider as a error. Again it goes to agent and again it verify and again it gives a output to the y bar. So the target y and y bar should be same, that means there is no error in the system. Now second type in the supervised learning is regression or prediction. We'll see direct example on this. Here the 6 data points are given. We may consider an example at different time of the day what will be the temperature is recorded, or in a here I have taken another example, depend on the quality of a product what will be the price of the product. Now here I have taken 6 data points and depending on quality the price we have to decide, and the 6 data points are drawn. Here the red dots are nothing but what, the input, and cross lines are the output. The values are no longer discrete values in this regression point. Here the output, here the values are continuous or fixed values. In classification we fix no either a person is a male or a female, but in this example the price value we need to decide it is depend on the quality of products. So the input here is a quality and the output is price. Experience will decide the price. So here red dots input and cross are output. We'll try to draw a straight line as we have done in the classification. Try to cover all the points. Now we have to draw a line which line should cover a line should cover all the points. Can we draw a single line which cover all the points? No, but we can draw a middle from all these data points. So this is red color line is drawn from the data points. So this is one way we can classify. Now can we do better than this? Can we draw another curve or line which is on which the all data points should cover? Yes, we can do in this way. Now in second case the performance is better than the first one, but with the cost of what? The complexity. In the first case the complexity is very less, whereas this is curve, so complexity, the function will be complicated. Now can we do better than this? Yes, we can directly draw this kind of a curve which cover all the data points. So these are the solution to reduce the noise. Now in the first case the noise is maximum, because if we'll take the difference between this line and the data points, the error we are getting is maximum, whereas in second one we are getting minimum error than the first one, but in the last case, third case, the error is 0, because this curve is passing almost through all the points, but at the cost of complexity. Here the complexity is very high. So if the complexity is a very high, now is it really necessary? No. So what we are calling it as, this is overfitting. So try to avoid this kind of overfitting in regression. So better we'll consider a linear regression. That means the first one. Now let us see how to find the error in the linear regression. Now we'll just consider this first case of linear regression. Now error is defined by the vertical lines in the diagram. Now the 6 data points are drawn where the error is defined. For the first data point, the error is a +1. The points which are above the line will consider error is a positive, and the points which below the line will consider the error as negative. So for first data point it's a +1, for second one it's a +2, third one it's a -1, fourth one is plus, fifth one it's a -4, and the sixth one it's a -1. Now this line length is nothing but what? The error, or the line represent a prediction error. We try to minimize the error using sum of squared error, because error is a positive and negative. So therefore what we will do, we are not going to add this, we square the term and add the term. So here I am getting sum of squared error for this linear regression is 1 square plus 2 square plus minus 1 square plus 1 square plus minus 4 square plus minus 1 square, and it is equal to 24. So this is about the regression. This is about the supervised learning, classification and regression. Let us see the unsupervised learning. Now what is the main difference between supervised and unsupervised is that in supervised the data is labeled, but in unsupervised learning the data is not labeled. In supervised learning we have two output classes as male and female. We have seen the example. Now we have to find out a particular person is either male or female. Output classes are known, but in unsupervised learning the output classes are unknown or data is not labeled. Now take the example, we have a 10 fruits and we have to divide into different categories, but we don't know how many categories into we have to uh, categorize, we have to make, and based on what. So how to solve this problem? One could do on the basis of size of the fruits, another can do on the basis of color of the fruits, or one may do on the basis of taste. So this is what called as clustering. So here we have seen one diagram. Now in this 3 cluster I have formed, 10 data points are given. In the cluster 1 we are getting 3 data points, in cluster 2 3 data points, in cluster 3 2 data points are there. So 3 cluster we have identified in the data points, but the 2 points are out of cluster, and specific shapes representing cluster, here all the shapes of clusters are almost elliptical. So two important um, things we need to remember is that when we are doing the clustering, one is interested to find the cohesive groups of a points, and other are the points that are out of the cluster are known as outliers. Here two outliers are present in this. Now let us take another example on this. Here the data set of fishes are given. So 8 fishes are given here. Now we have to categorize this into the small fishes and big fishes. So I have two cluster. I have made two cluster, one for the small fish and another one for the big fish, and one more fish is outlier, and we need to minimize this number of outliers. So in unsupervised learning, there are two popular techniques are using. First is principal component analysis, and second one is K-means clustering. Now we'll see the overview of PCA and the K-means clustering. Now here in this, 7 data points are given, which are represented by circles. Now we need to find out what is principal component analysis for this 7 data points. So it's a direction where the data is most spread out. So what we have to find, we have to draw a line through this data point, and we must get a most spread out data on that particular line. So in first case, I have drawn a vertical line in between these data points. So I'm getting a lines projected on this, right? Suppose if I draw lines which are projected on this vertical line, so we are getting a maximum length or a spreaded data length is from difference between A and B. So we have to decide whether it's a principal component analysis for this data set, yes or no. So is there any another line which can find out the most spreaded out? Yes, we can draw what horizontal line, right? Now let us see another example or a case 2. In this, if I'll draw the horizontal line, now what is the maximum length we are getting the projected for the data points? It's a AB. Now if we'll compare the length of this previous case 1 AB and the case 2 AB, which one is the maximum? The case 2. This length of AB is maximum in case 2. So is there any another line which having most spreaded out data set? No. I think for this data set, this is the maximum length line, that is AB. So I can say that this is the principal component analysis for the data points. So this is just an overview of principal component analysis. Now let us see what is a K-means clustering. Now here 7 data points are given, and these are drawn on the x and y axis. Now in K-means clustering, what we have to decide how many cluster we want first. So initially what we will do in this example, we'll consider k equal to 2. That means 2 random points we are selecting. So these 2 random points are drawn here by the red dots. First is at the upper side, and second one is at the lower side. So first one is the first random center, and second red dot is a second random center. So these dots represent what? The random cluster centers. Now we'll calculate the distance between all data points from this random center point. That means first data point, the distance between first data point and the first random center, second data point and first random center, third data point and first random center. Similarly, up to the last 7th data point. And again I am calculating same distance from first data point to the second random center, second data type to second random center up to the 7 data points. Then each object assigned to a similar centroid randomly. Now all data points and random cluster center we are getting. So from this, so after calculating distances, I am categorize this data into a two category. One is defined by the blue pen and another one is defined by the red pen. So 3 points data points I am getting in blue and 4 I am getting in red. Now from this 3 points of a blue data points, I am actually finding out the cluster center. So it is defined in the third diagram with the red dot. That is the cluster center for the first um, cluster, and second dot I am getting from the 4 data points. That is the cluster center for these 4 data points. Then reassigning the data points. So pick the process random data points as a cluster center. We calculate actual cluster center based on the previous random assignment. And this is k-means clustering. So we are getting finally two cluster 1 and cluster 2. Now if we'll compare this, now depending on this, I am getting this as a cluster 1, this as a cluster 2. So in this way k-means work. Now the basic question in this k-means clustering is from what k should be taken. Now it is a very important question, how to decide the value of a k. So one can take k as a 2, 3, 4 and so on. So what we will do, we'll check the performance with the number of k's. Now first we will take k is equal to 2. We'll find out the average intercluster distance in this way. Then we'll take k equal to 3 and we'll calculate the average intercluster distance, and we'll draw the graph with number of cluster versus average intercluster distance. So obviously as we go on increasing the cluster initially, number of cluster initially, the average intercluster distance is reduced, but we are getting after some point, after taking number of initial cluster maximum, we are getting after that the average intercluster distance is, there is no change in that distance. So exactly that point we need to consider as a key point. Thank you.